Hey there, star. You're glowing and you don't even know it. Let me talk to you for a few minutes. The one who's been stabbed in the back so many times. You forgot what it feels like to lean on anyone without flinching. The one who's been quiet while chaos screamed around them. The one who's been underestimated, disrespected, betrayed. But oh, if they only knew what's happening behind the curtain. You see, while you were sitting there wondering why people flipped on you like switches, while you were carrying the weight of every rumor, every sideways glance, every fake smile and snake handshake, there was someone else watching, someone with fire in their chest and your name carved into their spine, someone who said, "Not this one, not them. I won't let you." And they meant it. You might not have seen the battles. You might not hear the war drums thundering beneath the floor. But while you've been doubting if you mattered to anyone, while your knees buckled from carrying burdens that were never yours to carry in the first place, someone picked up a sword, and they've been cutting down your enemies one by one. Quietly, methodically, ruthlessly, oh yes. The ones who laughed when you were low, they're stuttering now. The ones who whispered in corners, dragging your name through the dirt, they're choking on it. The ones who tried to erase you, humiliate you, mock you like you were weak. They're realizing now you were never alone, and the best part, you didn't have to clap back. You didn't have to break character. You didn't have to scream because someone else screamed for you. They bled in silence. They took the hits. They stared down your demons with eyes that didn't blink. Why? Because you're not ordinary. You're not disposable. You're not forgettable. You're a damn storm in disguise. But they saw it. They saw you, the real you, behind the pain, behind the silence, behind the shattered smile. They saw something precious. And guess what? Precious things are protected. So while your enemies were throwing darts, someone else was building a wall behind your back. While they were mocking your scars, someone else was loading truth like bullets. And now your haters are squirming. Their lies are falling apart. Their masks are cracking. The show is ending. And it's not the finale they expected, but you. You're still here, still rising, still glowing in ways they don't understand. Because people like you, you're a problem. You make cowards uncomfortable. You remind them of what they'll never be. Resilient, loved, chosen. And let me tell you something even darker. The ones who betrayed you, they're haunted now. Haunted by the fact that you're not just surviving. You're being defended, not just by one person, but by energy, by presence, by karma itself. Because when you're pure, when your intentions are clean, when you walk through fire and never let the flames turn you cruel, the universe sends warriors, and they don't knock, they kick doors down. So maybe you don't see them, maybe you don't know who they are, but somewhere out there right now, someone is standing up for you in rooms you're not in. Someone is dragging your name out of the mud and raising it like a flag. Someone is watching your enemies burn and letting them know this one is protected. This one is off limits. And isn't that wild? You thought you were alone, but baby, you're not. You ever wonder why your name still shows up in rooms full of people who swore they were done with you? You ever catch that sudden silence when you walk by? Like your very presence is a mirror to their guilt? That's not coincidence. That's not paranoia. That's the weight of your truth smashing through their lies. See, people thought they buried you. They thought they painted you as a villain, sold your name for laughs, and walked away without consequence. But oh, they forgot one thing. You don't have to fight dirty when you're protected by something deeper, because someone's been tracking every false word they spoke. Someone's been watching them dance on your name, and now they're yanking the rug out from under their fake power. And it's ugly, it's slow, it's surgical. You might not hear the screams, but trust me, the silence around them. It's loud, deafening, because that's what happens when someone stands up for you so powerfully. The people who tried to play you get cornered by their own reflection. And I know what you're thinking. Why would anyone do that for me? Because you're the kind of soul that doesn't need to beg for loyalty. You breathe authenticity, you bleed integrity, you don't manipulate, lie, or scheme. You've been real from the start, maybe too real for a world addicted to masks. So someone took notice. Someone saw how heavy you were walking and said, "I'll carry some of that. I'll take care of what they can't see." Not because you asked, not because you needed saving, but because when light walks through darkness, it leaves a mark on people who still have a conscience. And baby, your light? It moved someone to fight, and now they're in the shadows doing what you didn't even know needed to be done. They're checking your enemies so hard, your name is becoming a warning label to anyone who thinks about crossing you. Mess with them? Cool. Watch what happens to your reputation. And look, your enemies are trying to save face, trying to pretend they're unbothered. But behind the scenes, they're falling apart. Their alliances are cracking. People are walking away from them one by one. Because the truth has claws, and it's finally got a grip on their lies. So maybe you've been wondering why certain people went silent. Why that one person stopped posting about you. Why the other one suddenly got humbled. You didn't do anything, but someone did. Someone stood in your absence and roared. Someone shattered their egos with a whisper. Someone said, "You don't get to hurt them," and walk away like nothing happened. And that kind of vengeance, that kind of justice, it tastes sweet. But it's not about revenge. It's about correction. It's about putting power back where it belongs, with you. Because you don't need to fight for attention. You don't need to scream to be seen. The people who matter, they feel your presence before you speak. So while your haters are losing their grip, you're gaining altitude. While they spiral in confusion, you rise in clarity. And every time they wonder, how is this person still standing? Why won't they fold? Why are people still protecting them? The answer stays the same. You were never weak. You were chosen. And the ones who tried to break you, they're just background noise in the story of your rise. You ever notice how quiet your enemies get when the truth starts doing laps around the lies? Yeah. They were loud when they thought you were isolated, real bold when they thought nobody was watching your back. But then something shifted. The air changed. The spotlight they were using to expose you, it turned. Now it's on them. And they're squinting, flinching, panicking under pressure they never expected. You didn't have to say a word, because the energy changed before the explanation ever showed up. That's what happens when you're divinely backed, when you're covered in a silence that speaks louder than any scream, when someone with reach, power, and fury decides, "You're not touching this one again." See, your haters were playing checkers. They were moving loud and sloppy, convinced they were winning. But someone stepped in who was playing chess, moves ahead, silent, precise, lethal. And now the ones who were laughing are dodging questions. Now the ones who thought they ended you are watching you shine harder. And the worst part for them, they can't stop it. Because someone else is blocking every path they could have used to slander, twist, or retaliate. Every door they could have used to hurt you, closed. Every tongue that tried to spit venom in your direction, silenced, not by force, but by exposure. Because the truth always wins, always. And now your haters are left with nothing but each other. Scrambling, whispering, blaming, spinning in the same confusion they tried to trap you in. But guess what? You're not spinning. You're still grounded, focused, and that someone who's been fighting for you, they're not done. Oh no. They're just getting warmed up. They don't just want your enemies quiet. They want them to feel it, to realize the weight of every action, to know they crossed a line that can't be uncrossed. They want them to understand you picked the wrong one. Because let's be honest, you've been through too much to still be this solid. They thought they could shatter you like glass. But you're made of the same stuff they fear in themselves. Resilience, grit, gravity. And that's someone who's got your back. They recognized it. They felt your strength, even when you doubted it yourself. And that made them loyal in ways you'll never have to question. They're not here for show. They're not defending you for clout. They're not standing up because it's convenient. They're doing it because it means something. Because you mean something. Because some people still understand value when they see it. And they'll burn bridges, cut ties, and raise hell to protect what they believe in. And baby, you are what they believe in, you. With the tired eyes and the unspoken pain, you. With the unbreakable spirit they couldn't clone if they tried. And the best part, the very best part, your haters still don't know who's doing it. They're paranoid now, looking over their shoulder, second-guessing their own team, trust collapsing from within, because someone from the inside said, "Not this one, not on my watch." And so the empire they tried to build on your downfall, it's crumbling, piece by piece, lie by lie. Not because you fought back, but because someone who knew your worth fought for you when it mattered most. You know what eats your enemies alive more than anything else? It's not the punishment, not the silence, not even the fallout. It's the fact that they don't know who's cleaning up your path like a battlefield medic with fire in their eyes. They can't name your protector. They can't trace the source. They're watching their manipulation collapse, their whispers echo into nothing. And they can't even tell where the damage is coming from. That's what makes it brutal. It's psychological warfare now. Because your haters, they love control. They live off predictability, off power plays and guilt traps. But right now, they've got no map, no playbook, no leverage, and it's killing them inside. They're losing followers, losing credibility, losing face. Meanwhile, you haven't said a word. You're just out here, existing, healing, glowing without permission. And still, someone else is doing the dirty work. Someone is walking into rooms you'll never step foot in, and making sure your name is respected. Someone is cutting through gossip like it's smoke and flipping the narrative with just a sentence. No theatrics, no warnings, just facts, just force, just presence. You don't even know how many fires have been put out on your behalf, how many fake friends have been exposed in your absence, how many people who smiled in your face are now being called out because someone else saw what you refused to speak on. And that someone, they're relentless. They don't want apologies. They want accountability. They're not here for revenge. They're here for balance. Because they watched you sit in your pain quietly. They watched you give people chances they didn't deserve. They watched you defend those who later turned on you. And they decided, if you won't protect yourself like you should, then I will. And now your enemies are walking on eggshells, not because you threatened them, but because your silence, it's protected by action they can't stop. And deep down, they know they had this coming. That's why they're not fighting back. That's why they're retreating, Because even they can't lie to themselves forever. They know what they did. They remember every jab, every smear, every time they laughed at your name just to make themselves feel bigger. But now, they feel small, shrinking, drowning in the karma they pretended didn't exist. And that person standing for you, they're not just your ally, they're your avenger, and they don't play nice. They're not seeking forgiveness. They're not playing peacemaker. They're here for one thing only: to restore the order that your enemies disrupted. And you don't even realize the magnitude of what's being done in your name. Not yet, but you will. You ever wonder why some people suddenly distance themselves from your haters? Why the ones who used to laugh at your downfall start going silent, start pulling away, start switching lanes without saying a word? It's not guilt, it's fear. Because someone out there flipped the narrative with such precision. Your name now has a weight, a gravity, a warning label attached to it. Don't touch this one unless you want smoke you can't handle. And they feel it. The people who tried to bait you into reacting, now they're reacting to shadows, to silence, to the slow, suffocating realization that they're not in control anymore. Their words don't land like they used to. Their games don't work. Their influence, dying. Because someone's been ripping the mask off their performance one truth at a time, and they can't stop it. Because the one fighting for you, they're not loud, they're lethal, the type of person who doesn't yell to be heard. They whisper, and the room still listens. They don't brag, they just act, and their actions carry consequences your haters never saw coming. Your enemies thought they were safe because you were quiet, because you were kind, because you kept turning the other cheek like pain didn't faze you. But here's what they never understood. Kindness is not weakness, stillness is not surrender, and silence is not submission. Sometimes it's just the pause before the storm. And now, that storm is here, and it doesn't have your voice. It has theirs, the one who stepped up for you. They've made it their mission to correct the imbalance, to remind the world that not everyone who's quiet is alone. Some are just shielded by loyalty, too deep to explain. This person? They didn't ask for credit. They didn't announce what they were doing. They just saw the injustice, felt your pain, and said, "Not on my watch." And now, your haters are unraveling. Their lies are collapsing under pressure. Their reputations are being re-examined. Their smiles are cracking. And all the people they tried to impress by mocking you, now they're watching. Now they're wondering, why did you go after them? Who's protecting them? Why does it feel like the walls are closing in? And the truth is, there's no easy answer, because the one fighting for you doesn't play by the old rules. They don't need permission. They don't follow the script. They move through systems your enemies never learned to navigate. They speak truths in rooms your haters will never be invited into. And the result? Your enemies are on the run. Their grip is loosening, and your name, your beautiful, misunderstood, underestimated name, it's starting to sound like a prophecy fulfilled. You ever notice how the people who tried to destroy your name start playing victim when they feel the heat? Oh, now they're confused. Now they didn't mean it that way. Now it's just a misunderstanding. No, it's consequences. It's what happens when you think you can break someone, then walk away untouched. As if the world won't ever spin back around. But now, the world is spinning fast, and every circle it makes is dragging them closer to accountability. But not because you exposed them. You never had to. Because someone else, someone who sees through everything, has been doing what you were too tired to do, too loyal to do, too kind to do. They've been holding up the receipts, unraveling the masks, peeling back the fake smiles like rotten fruit, and laying it all bare. And your enemies, they're scrambling now, trying to clean up a mess they thought would stay hidden. But here's the thing, when the fight is spiritual, no PR stunt can cover the damage. Because what's being torn down isn't their image, it's their illusion, and illusions don't heal. They dissolve. So now they're watching you rise, still intact, still glowing, still silent. And it's driving them insane, because they thought they knew your worth. And they bet against you. But someone else, someone who's not blinded by envy, ego, or noise. They bet on you, and now they're winning. They're the unseen hand in the room, the reason your name is suddenly spoken with respect in places that used to drip with mockery. They're the reason people flinch when they remember what they said about you. Because they know now, you're not just a person. You're a line they should have never crossed. And the beauty of it all? You didn't orchestrate any of it. You just kept walking, kept surviving, kept showing up in your quiet power, while someone else sharpened the sword in the shadows. They're fighting with truth, fighting with precision, fighting for you because you mattered when no one else noticed, because they saw value in your scars, strength in your silence, and danger in your calm. Yes, danger, because when someone like you heals, you become a threat, not because you're vengeful, but because you're unshakable. And they know it now. Your enemies know it. Your doubters feel it. And the one fighting for you, they've only just begun. And now they're terrified, not of you. No, you were never their fear. Their fear was what you'd awaken, who you'd awaken. Because when a force rises to protect someone who's been abused, dismissed, lied on, dragged, sabotaged, it becomes something your enemies can't define. They can't name it, so they can't kill it. They can't fight it, because they don't know where it's coming from. Let your enemies wonder. Let them panic. Let them feel every ounce of the heat they swore you'd never survive. Because behind your stillness, behind your quiet healing, behind your every inhale and exhale of resilience, there's someone who said, if they won't fight back, I will. If they won't expose the liars, I'll make sure they're exposed. If they won't defend themselves, I'll defend them harder than I've ever defended anything. And that's why your haters are losing. That's why they're unraveling. That's why the very walls they built to box you in are now closing in on them, because someone fought for you, and they're not done.